The topic is, how do we educate the next 50,000 entrepreneurs? And I thought first, maybe the most important thing to do is define what an entrepreneur really is and why we would ever need 50,000 of them. And I just pass that to you.
Yes, I will take a lead. The 50,000 is such a big number, but I believe that we can make it. Because the entrepreneur, many people think that, oh, entrepreneurs, oh my gosh, it's nothing for me, right? And entrepreneurial mindset, I cannot have that kind of mindset. But that's the basic notions for the many people. But to be honest, if we start, we can be an entrepreneur, yeah, right? So definition of the success or failure depends on the criteria. So, but there's no absolute success or failure. So in that sense, everybody can, I believe that everybody can have the entrepreneurial mindset. So most important thing, I think, is the psychological safety, that even if we fail, no problem at all. You won't die, right? And you won't bankrupt, but even if you bankrupt, you don't have to worry about it, because we can live a life. So, and actually, I have experienced more than 20 years as a serial entrepreneur, and I failed a lot, tens of failures. I lost tens of million US dollars and million euro, and I failed tens of companies, but it's okay. And all the lessons learned is accumulated in my mind, and I could experience. So every single failure or those experiences are really good for me, very fruitful for me. So in that sense, no loss, but just a gain only. So if we could if we could educate that fact, and then I'm sure that everybody will start. And then everybody can be the entrepreneurs. That's my
yeah, I
thinking.
agree. And like what both of you've done, what I've done, and what I think every one of us can do if we don't believe what we've been taught in school, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do this. You need to wait somebody to raise your hand. That's when you can speak, or you're put into that box of what's the word? Oletus, assumption that you're supposed to do something. But if you keep doing like what you're doing, just following your intuition, and this is what I want to do, and saying it loud, then life helps you around, I think.
Yes.
And
I completely agree with you, because I'm still a student, and whenever you have to raise your hand to speak out what you want to say, you're always trapped and waiting for the teacher to call on you. But if you're starting something, if you're an entrepreneur, then you can just walk straight out of the box. I don't care about these limits.
that's true, because
So cool, yeah.
yeah, if we always keep doing what we've done before, we would be still writing in the rocks, right? So doing things differently, and I think that's where we can empower the young people. Well, you already have it, so I guess we can learn from you.
Thank you.
And I think maybe once in the books.
I'd like to ask one question. Are your friends around you is trying something new like you do?
No, but they all have their different hobbies, and I really think that they should continue on with that.
So is there any influence from your parents or someone who inspired you to start something?
They inspire me, they help me, they support me. My inspirations are Ada Lovelace. She was the first computer programmer. She was also a woman. And I'm also inspired by Carly Hendricks, who is the founder of Jabatical. We both believe that borders should die and that you should keep on innovating.
True.
See, I'm the investor of the Carly's company. Just for information.
right?
Zara, I wanted to actually pose that question directly at you. What do you think an entrepreneur is?
An entrepreneur is somebody who leads. An entrepreneur is somebody who innovates. An entrepreneur is somebody who creates. An entrepreneur is somebody who steps outside the box.
And makes things happen also.
Exactly.
So when we talk about the concept of educating 50,000 entrepreneurs, that whole proposition kind of assumes that it's not going to happen on its own. So what's not working right now, and how can we fix it?
Well, as I see, well, I'm from Finland, and we think we have a really good education system, which, when you compare it to something that, yeah, definitely it is. But there's also issues in that, and that's the boxing. And like you were saying, like what you do in Vivita, that there is no curriculum, there is no teachers. And that actually, I think, it's because the schools right now, they kill the creativity, like Ken Robinson says. And like, that's something, I think, the first beginning where what I would like to shake in Finland and what I would like to shake anywhere. Because if you kill the creativity, you kill the capability to be an entrepreneur. So
Yeah, I agree.
keep saying yes and just...
But the Finland has an amazing movement, Slush.
Yes, the next week.
So that is also very helpful for encouraging the young people to start.
It is. It's
company.
been, this is my 4th Slush, and actually seeing how it evolves. Obviously, first year I went there, I had just started my company. Well, that was kind of the end result of doing software for education, but then seeing how it empowers people. And now that we have the corporates there, that we have also the government people there opening up, even though they don't understand the basics of programming or software development or new AI and tech things, but they're there together to open up for the development. So I'm really hopeful, because 4 years ago when I graduated with my software and I was like, yes, we have this software, and everyone was like, what? But now it's changing, and I think Slush is it's one short time, but what goes around it and what people thrive forward together, and I think that's the impact what we can make each and one of us, and maybe that's one thrive for the 50,000 entrepreneurs we will educate.
I think it would be amazing if people also encourage this from when people are my age or younger.
Yes, I'm bringing my daughter to Slush.
Would somebody please explain to me what slush is?
It's this thing you can drink.
Oh, like a slushie.
Yes, but it's also this thing in Helsinki where a lot of entrepreneurs and people who want to know what entrepreneurs come together is one big place with a lot of lights and a lot of stuff, and sauna village.
Cool.
Are you coming?
I'll try to come.
I'll talk to you, Mom.
In Slush, there's a huge competition, pitch contest, driven by the young people. And I'm sure if you make a pitch in front of them, I'm sure that you will win.
Yeah, now there's been 2 years. There's been Excited part, which is for education technology. And I think what you're doing, it's like this new wave that needs to be applied in. So taking the mind out of the box, I think.
Sometimes on panels, it's easy to get like pessimistic as a moderator and to kind of ask challenging questions. But in this one in particular, I've done a lot of panels in the last day. And so I wanted to ask, what's working really well? What's going well? I need some optimism here. How come you ended up here today? What went so well?
It all started with traveling. It all started with me traveling and having so much fun. And then it all started with me creating Okta, I guess, for the second one. Okta basically took me forward. I learned, I created, and I made Okta, the travel chatbot. And that's how I ended up here today.
What do you guys think is going well?
I started the Bibita in Estonia at the Terraskivi, And from this month, literally from this month, we will open up to the Estonian children to provide a creative environment for free. And not only that, we have a Japan studio, and also we are thinking of the launching in Singapore.
And Helsinki, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I know one good place for it.
Oh, really? Wow, that's great.
I'm from Singapore, actually.
Oh, you're from Singapore? Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I live
I'm based in Singapore now.
Cool.
Yeah, let's
Things are
do
going
it.
forward.
let's do it.
Singapore is an amazing tech hub. It's going to be amazing to base everything there.
Yes, I agree. So I'm dreaming of the exchanging the kids. The Estonian kids will come to Singapore. Singaporean kids will come to Estonia, and exchanging ideas and collaborate each other. So that kind of a global exchanging environment. I'm thinking of next year. So I'm sure that we can make it.
And I think you could utilize Okta in that, because then children, even though you are in different locations,
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah.
because
So we will adapt your
Yeah.
services.
then you can have kids here, and then you can have kids in Singapore, and then when you go further with Vivida, then children can talk to each other, and that's how you create global citizens. It's we have one world.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is interesting between this panel and maybe the previous one about engineers is that I asked the question about whether it's up to the government and the policy and the school, or whether it's up to individuals and entrepreneurs and kind of private sector. And so I would present to you the same question. Is it up to conferences and festivals like Robotex to bring kids together and educate them on these small tools? Or not small tools, but rather big ideas? Or is it more about starting really foundationally in the schools? Or how do we do this?
The individual should decide.
Yes, and I agree that now facing the slowness of the bureaucrats in the political system, I would say start with the individuals, start with the companies, and because that's when you can do it. You can do it now. You can do it next month. You don't have to, we need to discuss with 200 people, and then the decision making takes half a year, and that's the time when in tech development you've already done tons of new stuff. Like you said, how long? Year and a
half.
Yeah, and that's the time that maybe politicians take for deciding whether they want to do it or not, and you've already done it. So in that sense, if you want to make it happen in this lifetime, I would say start like everyone can do it.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. In my observation, all the technologies now being developed is democratizing the people,
Yes.
democratizing technology, empower the individuals, the people, to do any kind of great things by themselves.
And together.
Together, exactly. So, so 10 years ago, 20 years ago, tens of years ago, only big organizations like government or big companies,
Microsoft.
yeah, Microsoft, they could do something big. But in these days, people like her can change the world.
And you. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you.
Yeah.
All of you.
Yes. So that's the way all the technologies are being developed. So in that sense, we don't need a big facilities or organizations to change the world better or make it quicker. So in a sense, so 21st century is the century of the individuals, our people.
If somebody's telling you to do it, then it's not what you're doing. But if you want to do it, then you go do it. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission.
That's very true.
That's right.
There's new curriculum.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of what you talk about and what you've said is about mindset shift, really.
Yes.
It's about the understanding the power of individual and that you don't need to listen to somebody else necessarily, or it's about the idea of bringing people together, which sometimes can have a lot to do with mindset. So what does it take to shift mindset, or how do we create this massive turn that kind of needs to happen if we want to see everybody inspired with the idea that they could be an entrepreneur if they chose to be?
Well, examples are really important, but then like here, I think one good example from Finland is from last spring. We did EdTech Hack, which first I was like, yes, we get to hack our education system. We can set it free. So that's also when, from that political level, when they start waking up to the fact that you can do things faster than in 3 years, that's when it starts coming, like, it is very hierarchical. Yeah, so when that starts coming down, I think that's when, like, startups, they work really well because everyone's in the same level, and that's when you can go forward, because I think that's what stops a lot right now, the change of going like a snowball. But it will happen eventually. I'm really hopeful that seeing time now, going back 4 years when I started as an official entrepreneur, and thinking 4 years from now, it will, and somehow some things take time, and there's also good things. You can't break the whole system in one, and we shouldn't, but to let them kind of fold into one, and make it happen one by one. I think.
I'd like to give you one good example. Recently, I experienced in Bibita in Tokyo. That is our place. Our location is a new town, so newly built 10 years ago. The new station was built and started creating and building the apartments and so on to build a new city. And then because it's new, there's no cultural tradition, so some citizens started some kind of a local festival, the block party or something like that. And then the committee that contacted us that, hey, maybe it's a community, why don't you join to our festival? And yeah, we will. And then we like to be connected more with the local people. So we asked the children in Bibita that, hey, what kind of things you like to do at the festival? And then, of course, we thought that selling a lemonade or creating some small pop-up shop or something like that. But one boy, 11 years old boy, he said that I'd like to make a roller coaster around the festival.
Yes.
I like
Place.
this boy already.
What? Yes. What? Roller coaster? Oh, what? And then I asked many times. And then, no. Of course, Bibita is a creative accelerator, but it's very scary, dangerous, and maybe, I don't know how much it would cost. And then, but he showed the video, YouTube video, that there's, it's getting popular, that the wooden roller coasters in the garden and the privately creating the wooden kind of troco kind of things, carts, wooden carts, and with wooden rails. And then he showed it. And I like to create these kind of things, and I think we can make it, he said. And our crews, our staffs, hey, Taizo, what should we do? Do you think we should do it? And he liked to open up to the kids coming to the festival, everybody. Then it's very dangerous, right? So not only that's making itself, but also we have to think of the safety things and the risky things. And we were discussing. But on the other hand, the kids, they just contacted to the professional roller coaster design company. Hey, I'd like to make a roller coaster. Could you tell what kind of safety we like to follow? So while we adults are discussing,
yeah, why
they
not?
contacted, they
Yeah.
started already.
Yeah, there's a good example. And that got me an idea. Maybe that's something, if you're asking, what can we do? Maybe, I don't work in a corporate, but maybe the corporates, like you said, why children are not, why are they excluded from the society?
Which is bad.
Yeah, we
Which
should
is
have
sad.
you as CEOs or design directors and open up from those boxes. Maybe that could be some literal thing to do. Bring your children to work, ask them. You're really smart. You're smarter than we are.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Thank
that
you.
could be something really like practical that can be done. So
Yeah.
just
And actually,
sorry.
yeah, no,
back
it's
to roller
okay, yeah,
coaster.
yeah.
What happened?
And they made the prototype of the carts
Yeah.
and putting the wheels and so
What
on.
color were they?
It's they named Kazekiri. Kazekiri is the naming of the wind slasher or something like
Wind
that.
slash. Yeah.
And they made a prototype of the cart, and they showed it. And other Vivita supporter, all adults, were so excited to see oh my gosh, they're making a prototype. Oh my gosh. And then they started contacting with the local carpenter companies and so on. And one company, they offered to help
Yeah.
the development. And actually they did last month.
Whoa.
30 meter long. 30 meter long and go like that.
So when we come and visit you, can we go to the roller coaster?
Yes,
Where is the roller coaster?
I know.
around near Tokyo. And then the president of the carpenter company, he was so inspired and so encouraged. Hey guys, please come to our factory, and I will show you the professional tools or devices, equipments, facilities, and you guys, you can utilize our every single resources for free as your factory. He said,
Amazing.
he committed. So they enhanced not only just a Vivita, they could secure the factory in nowadays.
Yeah.
So like that way, the community is expanding, and they are everybody is smiling. So like that way, the movement, entrepreneurial mindset will be like a pandemonic, right?
Yes,
like
good
scattered.
pandemonic.
Right. So that kind of the very exciting wow projects is a very important to spread the world.
And people can do pretty amazing stuff, actually. We just don't, maybe we don't believe in our inner intuition and creativity and imagination we have. And if we just, I think what I've noticed past years, that if you just kind of keep listening to that, and that's why I think you children are really amazing to it, because you have capability of listening to it and you believe in it. And that's something what grown-ups tend to forget due to school, due to all the don't do this way. But then that's what drives these things forward. And it
Yeah.
And I
keeps,
think that's maybe the real message there, is that it was a little bit the responsibility of you and your team to not hinder the crazy idea of building a roller coaster. So
Kids have an idea, kids sense an opportunity, kids do it. There's no stopping them if they're motivated and if they're in that mindset.
it is, and the
Exactly.
world is yours. So
So I want to give lots of time, if possible, to do questions with the audience. Does anybody have a question? We've got one here and then one here. Awesome. There's a mic coming to you. There you go.
Hello. Actually, I had a lot of questions before, but now, I mean, the best one that I have in mind is this. What do you think, and why do you think there are, we say to kids, we impose to kids rules in order to get them grow up? I mean, you talked about the fact that there are too many rules that constrict kids to become adult in a way that they don't pay attention to their thoughts and they don't believe in their idea. But I want to ask you before a solution of that, why you think is like this right now?
Why do we hinder these?
Did you understand?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Why,
Okay.
I think I can summarize the question a little bit. Why is it that we are so hesitant to allow kids maybe to have big ideas, and why are we so eager to impose rules and regulate our tiny creative brains?
I don't know. Maybe it's also the types of people and the way the world used to be. We still live in the evolution of change. It's always been like that. Why? I don't know, but
I studied the history, how the school has started in the 19th century, 18th century. There is a guy called Robert Owen. He was a capitalist, and he's the owner of the factories, and they built the community around the factory employees and built a city. And he was, at the time, he was a really great guy. That the children at the time, in the first industry revolution age, children are regarded as just a small labor, small workers.
yeah,
So
it used to be that way. That's
Yeah,
actually what
hundreds of
it's
years
been
ago.
up.
That's
Yeah.
unfair.
So they had to work from the morning to the midnight. But the Robert Owen thought that it's not good for the children, so they make a school in 18th century. In a sense, they moved from the terrible working environment to study environment.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of the school in modern age. But as time goes by, the original spirit, concept has gone, and then children have to go to school, only school, and then excluded from the society.
Yeah.
So, but at the time, it's a machine industrial revolution. The blue worker labor, almost everything. But now is very different from the 18th century. It's the age of the information revolution. So creativity is one of the most important skills for the people. And in that sense, as you can see her, the children is much better than the adults for creativity, innovative idea. So we should get children back to the society and include to the society so that we can stimulate each other.
And what I think is broken also in Finland, like thinking of my grandparents, we used to have a big farm where you have all the age groups in the same area, and the younger ones are doing what they're doing and different age, but you're still there and you still meet people during the day of all age groups. And now, like in Finland, I think it's broken. You have children in the daycare. Your parents go to work. Older people are here, and everyone's kind of stuck in their own age groups, and you don't get that. And I think, like what I did, I was running after-school program for children, and we used to go for a snack after school where elderly people came in to have their coffee, and those rendezvous and meetings of old grandpa telling about war and the little kid going, I'm a Superman! And that thing is kind of bringing that back, and then also thinking of, that's why I was like, I don't never want to grow up. Why would I want to go to work if I just have to sit there and do that? I don't want it. I want to live. And if you can bring all that together, I think that's when we can also, I don't know, if we can heal something we've broken.
I agree. I totally agree. And if kids are raised with creativity, then they'll still have creativity as adults.
True. And you can give also thinking of like your pace of life is like, and then it slows down in the end, and like it gives a lot of energy to elderly people, and it paces back also in just like.
I think that this is happening is because kids are boxed off of the ability to show their creativity. And then it's all like crammed in there.
Awesome. So we have one more question at least.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, all of you. And during this weekend, 2 kids from Singapore did much more than just gave me hope back. I would argue a bit with the name of the panel, how to educate the next 50,000 entrepreneurs. I would rather rephrase it, how to not limit next 50,000 entrepreneurs. And since this generation already has an access to a YouTube, then we cannot stop it. So the fact that all of us today are here in this venue is basically due to the fact that me and my wife, we never limited our kids. And during the last year, Sander had did like tons and tons more than me and my business. So, what do you think? Maybe it would be even a better idea to take off the limits and let this generation do what they're supposed to do. Because today we adults are discussing how to help them, but maybe we should just step off and let them act.
Yes.
Great, amazing, love it. I mean, like, maybe adults could have a little bit of control, but kids should really be allowed to push their boundaries.
Yes, I agree.
I agree too.
So we need to challenge up adults and companies to open up to children. So I guess. Huh? Yes.
Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think you need to change the mindset of the educators so that, I mean, education, especially like early childhood education, is more child-based instead of a grown-up teacher-led, so that the ideas come from the children and the educators there to provide the necessary tools for the children. So that way, the children can have the feeling that they actually are in charge. They can make decisions about their education and that sort of thing, which leads to them being responsible adults. And they have the feeling that what I think matters, really. And that is what builds entrepreneurs, or that is the way how to educate them, in my opinion, please.
That's very true. So we need to also challenge the schools.
Yes, and the early childhood education. But I think in Finland this is happening now, and the curriculum is moving towards more child-based learning.
Yes, that's true. And I actually did one experiment with my daughter. I took her out of school, and we just went out to Cyprus for a while. And it's interesting to see now going back. She wanted to go back to school to see her friends. So that's kind of, but seeing how you can shift. And also I would like to see the change of not thinking we have Finland, we have this country, we have that country. Like, you're combining already children around the world. So why do we need to set borders also for learning? So I think.
Die borders.
Yeah.
I have this book. It's called Rebel Girls, and in that book there is this woman. I forgot her name actually, but she started this school in which kids, they could pick what they wanted to learn. They could learn, they could explore. And she said to never help out a kid if he or she feels like they can do it themselves.
Yes, very good. That's the way forward.
And on that note, thank you so much, panel, and thank you so much, audience. I know we didn't get to all the questions. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.